Welcome, Degens, to another edition of the Degen Docs. That is right, folks. I am your host, one of your hosts, the Degen Doc, the OG Degen Doc himself. And we've got a very, very special episode. Look, as you can already tell, I'm dealing with a little bit of Vegas voice. I came right off the plane, had 3 days in Vegas, so this is what it does to you. But hey, I knew we had to get back into the studio because we got a lot to talk about. It is our annual Monday show, our weekly, I should say, Monday show, where we are going to be breaking down. We're going to do a fantasy football and betting preview to include a Monday Night Football preview. So we got a ton of injuries to talk about. Chris McCaffrey just got ruled inactive. That was a shocker, a surprise. We will be touching on that. We're going to be touching on not only Monday night, but of course, looking forward to our fantasy matchups, waiver wire targets, early betting line locks that we love. So without further ado, folks, cheers. As you can tell, I'm drinking water tonight. I need some. So cheers. We appreciate you coming on, and let's get to it. The NFL Week 2 Fantasy Football and Betting Preview edition of the Degen Docs on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPNDOC to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That is SGPNDOC, all one word, all caps. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, folks. Wow, I am the OG Degen Doc, one of your co-hosts, but I am joined, second man in the booth here, by my co-host, my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Professor Locks himself, Derek Bennett. How we doing tonight, brother?
Hey, better than you. Getting off the plane, an hour ago, getting home, not even 20 minutes ago, probably. Coming off a pretty nice weekend in Vegas, though. Pretty nice weekend in Vegas from the sounds of it. Sounds like it was a good time. Sound like cashed in on quite a few things. Hey, and I see you vibing over there, vibing and jiving to the intro music. I like it. We're pulling out a little, Pat McAfee vibes out on College Game Day.
Hey,
right?
I'm as long as you don't Nick Saban me and look like you want to fucking kill me, I think we're gonna be good. I think.
Well, at times I do, but
not today. But yes, folks, we are here, and yes, coming straight off of Vegas. Let's talk a little bit about Vegas. I got to go out there for a couple days, bullshit around with the other crew, SGPN guys. Didn't pack. Came with my nice little bag. This had a bunch of slips in it, but thankfully it does have some money. Shout out to the Detroit Lions. Look, Vegas, man, it was a hell of a time. If you have not been out with the SGPN crew, every NFL Week 1, open invite for everybody to come out, whether you're working for us, whether you're just a fan. It was a hell of a time. Met the merch god, Jake Paquin himself. Shout out to him and his Detroit boys there. That was a good time. Look, Friday night, got in, had about an hour to get to the hotel, check in, and get in my BYU plus 11.5 and 4-1 on the money line. So started the week off right. Friday, Saturday looked good. Sunday, as we'll get into a little bit, got a little bit crushed in the early window. Turns out that the Carolina Panthers are really that bad that they can ruin an over or an underplay by themselves. But Detroit Lions, Rams, it was about even on the weekend, decided to just put all the chips on the table, went on the Lions, went on the under 54, went on Montgomery anytime touchdown. And we cashed. We had a great weekend.
There we go.
But yeah, I'm here. I'm back. I'm pushing through it, and I'm ready to get to it.
Hey, speaking of week 1, getting crushed in that early window, was that all financially, or was that kind of jab to the heart with your New York Football Giants? Man,
oh yes.
Are they the worst football team in the league?
Oh, okay. I think so. It's them and the Carolina Panthers who play in Germany in a few weeks, and that might start another world war, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, it is bad. Let me get this rant out of the way. Look, I'm going to make it short and sweet. There's a reason I'm at the point where I will not give out a New York Giants pick unless it's to fade them at this point. I won't do it because they're an awful team. Daniel Jones is absolutely garbage. I mean, our offensive line actually played decent, and he looked so bad. It was insane. Yeah. Thankfully, we were watching it at the Westgate. We're in the big-ass movie theater, and thankfully that was on one of the smaller screens. It wasn't one of the huge projected ones. So, but my goodness. Look, this is some of the fans reacting to Daniel Jones coming home, and I think it was absolutely appropriate what we see here.
Yeah! Danny! I need $1 million. I need $1 million. I need $1 million, Daniel. I need $1 million, Danny. I need $1 million. Give me a.
So he comes
Ouch.
home to a shower of booze, and everybody just, everybody's saying you basically suck. Yeah. I saw a stat that since he signed his $40 million guaranteed contract, he's thrown more pick sixes than passing touchdowns.
Holy smokes. That's that's a hell of a stat right there. But yeah, I mean, coming home, not even in your home stadium, right? And still having fans just chilling, waiting for you to walk to your car.
Well, no, the Giants were at home, but yeah, they were.
That was one of the games that put on the back burner. I didn't really want to watch Danny Dimes go off against Sam Darnold because as we're going to talk about,
would not recommend.
Neither of those teams should do a whole lot this season, but anyways.
No. But yeah, those are just some quick takeaways. I will leave it on.
But the uniforms were looking good this week.
I don't know, man. That was a weird.
Hey, that might rival the Steelers Bumblebee uniforms.
Oh God, yeah, there was a 100-year anniversary. Yeah, those uniforms. Yeah.
I forgot they were home. That's right.
Not a fan. But look, man, I will say on Vegas though, as a quick recap, I put this out, but a couple of takeaways from the weekend. I'm always shocked at the amount of people in the sports book that are just betting loads of money and they have no idea. I mean, I heard people asking like, hey, what do you want to bet on? Who should I bet? Who's a lock? Oh, I went to school with this guy. I went to school here, blah, blah, blah. I heard people, there was like one guy in particular, he's like, yeah, I went to school at Texas Tech. They're going to fuck up Wazoo, Washington State. Little did he know the ghost of fucking Mike Leach was going to rain down terror.
He was in the building.
All of Texas Tech. So, but it's just so funny to me that people are literally just throwing loads of money, whether it's at the tables or whether it's at the sports books. I'm like, wow. You just assume people at least know what they're betting on, but they're like legitimately don't know what like -5 even means, So that's pretty funny to me. Having to carry around change from a winning slip. Look, I usually. So here's the thing with where and look.
We need to tip that back.
No, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, hold on. And if you have an opinion on this, chat, please drop a comment and say what you think. But all right, the change thing. I feel like when you win a bet, right? I feel like it's kind of shitty to just tip. Like I like to tip maybe a couple dollars and stuff like that, right? Because I'm not here big balling, but I do like to tip them a couple of dollars off winning slips. But I feel like the change is almost like an insult. Like I can't just like give them like they just counted out the change for me. I don't want to just give it back to them. Like that's kind of shitty. So, but it's like the change is so fucking annoying to carry around because you just get a shit. I mean, I literally like emptied it out. This was all just from yesterday. This wasn't even like. It was just like, what the fuck, man?
No, I completely agree with you. Like for those people that just tip the change, like that's kind of a dick move. But usually, kind of like you plus those people, that's what I usually do. If I come away with say $50 or $54.37, I'll give them the $2 or $3 on top of the change just so I don't have to carry it around. But yeah, that's pretty annoying.
It's fucking annoying, man. I'm not, I'm used to just being at the sanctity of my own home and just like letting it be like, oh, I don't have to worry about this 50 cents that went off this, whatever.
Yep.
The other thing, the prop market out in Vegas is super fucking outdated, man. It's super antiquated. Like, especially depending on the book you're at, like there's some that you can't even, you can't parlay anything together. Right. Right. Some of them don't have anytime touchdowns, don't have the 2 touchdowns. So as fun as it is to be out there, prop market is definitely kind of
a little bit more limited. Yep.
Yeah, definitely limited there. And then the last thing I'll say is paper tickets are still king. I love me some paper tickets. I love paper tickets. So I will never stop whenever I'm in Vegas. I know they have the apps and all that stuff. But I love a paper ticket.
Go to the window.
Nothing better than that. Just some old school. You get the sheets in your hand, like it's beautiful. But all right, folks, enough of that. None remnant. Oh my god, look, it's gonna be brutal. I'm telling you right now. I'm coming up right off the plane. But we are gonna get into the injury rundown. We're gonna break down the biggest injuries here in just a second. But before I do that, let me tell you about what we got going on over here at SGPN. The NFL and college football are in full swing, so make sure you subscribe to the main flagship sports gambling podcast and the college football experience for free picks for every game against the spread. Definitely shout out to those guys. TCE crew do great work over there. Definitely. There's a shit ton of college games, right? We talk about the NFL, and I like that, you got your 32 teams and it's a little bit more regulated. College football is fucking wild, wild west, whether it's the injury side, which I'm putting out a weekly injury report there to try to bring some of that in. Yep. But, transfer portal, all these different games, all this FCS, FBS, they do a great job of, hey, that's why part of the reason I was on BYU on the money line. Nice 4-1 cash, just right there, tangible, actionable information. So definitely check that out. All right, why don't we tee up, get to these injuries here, and why don't you lead us off with our first injury?
Yeah, well, before we even get to the guys that are on the sheet, let's talk a little bit Christian McCaffrey. He's been dealing with the calf issue, obviously, this whole offseason, or not really this whole offseason, definitely the whole preseason. Yep. But this really came up like a year ago when he first started dealing with this thing.
Week 17, going
exactly. Into the playoffs. So this is not a new thing for Christian McCaffrey. This is definitely something to monitor going forward. Obviously, he's out tonight.
Super shitty of them, by the way. I know I got McCaffrey in a fucking lineup, and I'm up by 1, but I got Brandon Ayuk, thankfully, still, and I'm going up against.
I am absolutely loving it. I got my bets in 45 minutes, an hour ago for tonight's game because obviously we got this leading up to it, and I got everything in prior to things start going haywire in terms of.
Well, yeah, we're gonna try to give you the updated lines, folks, because obviously
it's jumping around quite a bit right now,
moving all over the place, right? And yeah, that's good. And not to tip our hand, but yeah, I definitely, as soon as I saw that, I had to make sure I got mine in because, like you said, it's been jumping. I will say though, and I know we're about to get to the preview here in a little bit, but I am sitting on a nice 7-1 Jordan Mason anytime touchdown back from when the news first broke and how they were saying they might mix him in and how they were liking him a lot. Yep. So I will not hate that 7-1. So at least, sometimes it pays to pay attention to some of these things early in the offseason. All right. Let's go ahead and Kenneth Walker picked up an abdomen injury. He did tell reporters after the game that he was going to be fine. He looked good. Charbonnet did come in for him at the end, but Kenneth Walker looked really good, man. That Seattle running game, for as low as I am on Geno, and I think that passing game is going to limit it, he looked good. He did say it was, he feels good, but why is this kind of concerning for you?
Yeah, I mean, with Walker, he's had these kind of issues before with those core musculature around the abdomen, right? So
hernia.
Yes, exactly. So from the history of injuries, that it's kind of concerning when we start to see reoccurring injuries around the same area. But whenever we're talking about oblique strains, abdomen strains, ab strains, whatever it is, like anything that you do is going to hurt. Like when you cough, when you laugh, when you twist side to side, obviously we're just talking about day-to-day things. Those kind of things are pretty painful with abdomen related issues. So it's something to monitor. Obviously, the true injury report doesn't come out until Wednesday, so we don't have a ton of information on this. But definitely something to monitor. Yeah, like I said, it's more of a concern because of the history.
Exactly. And this is one, similar to T. Higgins, where just because the player says they're fine, it doesn't mean, like, this is one I'm definitely monitoring closely. I'm not banking on Ken Walker being in the lineup. If he is, great, when we'll get that updated information as the week goes on. But definitely start pivoting or thinking of a pivot, right? And now we're going to talk about waiver wire targets, guys. We want to target here in a little bit. But Ken Walker is someone, if you have him, just, start getting in the back of your mind kind of a backup plan, because there is a good chance this can be a little bit more than leading on, especially with his history. All right, next guy up, Jake Ferguson for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this just broke. Well, there's a lot of stuff that recently just broke. But so the biggest thing was kind of an awkward injury where his knee kind of hyperextended. His leg got trapped. It looked, it looked not the best. I didn't really think ACL right away. It wasn't enough kind of torque on the knee. But, thankfully, ACL is intact. MCL sprain and bone bruise. So your MCL, your medial ligament, one of the major stabilizing ligaments in your knee, is the best one to injure. If you're going to injure one, it's got the best vascularity, best healing potential. Now, it sounds like he's week to week. Usually with, grade 1, it could be a 1 to 2 week thing. Grade 2 is closer to kind of like, 3 to 6 weeks type of a deal, a la Jordan Love, who we're going to talk about here. Well, similar to Jordan Love, who didn't quite make it because we put out a lot of stuff on him already. What are you thinking? Any thoughts here on Ferguson?
No, it's kind of one of those things where he'll be slated as week to week. I'm wouldn't be
shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked if he misses a week or two, but at the same time, that Dallas offense looked pretty good.
They were humming.
They were humming against one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league last year. So, I guess I didn't take a look to see who Dallas has coming up over the next couple of weeks to see whether I think they'll be more conservative or not with Ferguson.
Yeah. All right. Next one, David
Njoku with a high ankle sprain. This is one that we called out pretty quick. Anytime somebody lands with their foot kind of off to the side, to kind of turned out, and especially if somebody lands on top of it, kind of gives it away. It's probably more of a high ankle sprain. Could be a little bit more of a medial ankle sprain too, but that medial ankle tends to have a little bit more stability to it. So with these high ankle sprains, we talked about this before, tends to be a little bit more drawn out in terms of timeline compared to just a regular ankle sprain. So this is something to monitor. They've come out and said, hey, he's week to week. I would not be surprised if this is a 2-3 week thing for Njoku, if not longer.
Yeah, no, I mean, high ankle sprain for me is 4 to 6 week recovery timeline, and then your production dip until about 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks,
right?
Yep.
So this is a long-term thing. Like Derek said, I mean, your high ankle, the ligaments above your ankle that connect your syndesmosis there, your tibia and your fibula, they take more to damage. It takes more force to damage, which means it comes with a longer recovery timeline. They are hard injuries to come back from. I mean, the guy we're going to talk about in a second, Jordan Addison, he tried to come back in 3.5 weeks. He just got another, looks like, high ankle sprain on his other side. So this is not an easy thing to try to come back from. So I will say, though, look, for as bad as Deshaun Watson looked, I mean, throwing 45 times for 169 yards, 2 interceptions, 6 sacks, it's going to get worse. He lost one of his favorite targets for at least a few weeks.
Very well could.
It's hard to imagine. But all right, Jordan Addison, we just talked about him, picked up another ankle injury there. So why don't we move on? I'll let you take the next one.
Yeah, Keenan Allen is one that we just really don't know much about. Again, we're kind of waiting till that Wednesday official injury report to come out. But Rome Odunze just came out that he has an MCL sprain, similar to Jake Ferguson. He had an MRI today to confirm that. Again, probably 2-3 week kind of a timeline.
4, Yeah.
MCLs
MCLs aren't the worst, right? Definitely better than the high ankle. So kind of a little bit of a bullet dodge. Obviously, you don't want to get hurt, but it is what it is. But hey, I mean, that's 2 of the 3 Bears.
Yeah, I mean, and we heard that it was an MCL sprain. Now, the severity of that, we don't really know much about. Is this a grade 1, grade 2? Obviously, it's not a grade 3 because that would be more of an extended timeline. But we just really don't know much about those Chicago wide receivers to this point.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little bit more clarity on Odunze there just with his injury because we actually know, so we can kind of predict a little bit more. That's not going to be anything, season threatening or anything like that.
For sure.
But, not a lot of information with Keenan Allen. And, Caleb Williams, we can kind of go through only for 29 pass attempts for 93 yards. Yeah. And now we're looking at potentially him losing his two of his top 3 wide receivers. So
for sure. Well, sticking with the wide receivers, moving out to LA, Puka, kind of a wacky injury with the PCL strain. Yeah, he's been put on the IR. Definitely going to be out for a little bit of an extended period at this point. What do you think about Puka returning from that PCL sprain?
Yeah, no. So a PCL, an injury that really is kind of like, we call it a dashboard type mechanism of injury where you land on the front of your knee very hard. And that's kind of what happened in the joint practice against the Chargers in the offseason. And that's exactly what happened during the game. So, he's put on the IR, tells you probably closer to 4 to 6 week recovery timeline type deal. I do expect him back, but yeah, you're going to have to, stash him under your IR we got a couple guys we're going to talk about here in a second that you can target, but it's unfortunate, not only for, fantasy owners, but for the Rams in general. Rams, man, we'll talk about that game. Look, we're going to do some quick takeaways and recap here in a second, but man, they are beat up. Offensive line, defense, everything. So,
all right, only if only somebody had said that during like all of these NFL previews that the Rams just can't stay healthy. But
I can't wait. Yes, we will wait until mid-season to start, giving better. We'll look back at some of our takes in the offseason. I don't want to overreact to week 1, but yes. But if we're going there, then my Deshaun Watson under is looking great.
But I mean, the Rams did definitely hold their own against the Lions. But we'll continue. Juwan Johnson with a forearm injury, he's definitely been ruled out for the next week.
Yeah, Taron Johnson there. Yeah, that's big slot corner. Our Thursday episode, we'll get more into it. But hey, man, that Thursday night game there's a lot of big injuries already. Taron Johnson, ruled out. Josh Allen with a hand, he's cleared. It's his non-throwing hand. He should be good. Devon A-Chain, Raheem Mostert, Malik Washington, all starters, all not practicing for Miami right now. So big ones to monitor. Definitely going to want to pay attention there. We're going to be putting a lot of things out on social, and we'll be talking more on Thursday for those. And then Tyson Campbell's going to miss time with a hamstring, and Marshawn Lattimore came up pretty lame. Those are 2 big corners, right? So it's not only, hey, I'm looking at it from a betting perspective of the team, but I'm looking at it from a perspective of fantasy of who these guys getting matched up against. Where are these favorable matchups going to be now? Looks like Lattimore's is a bit more minor, so it's not sure. He's still up in the air if he's going to play against Dallas in week 2. But Campbell is definitely going to miss some time there for a Jacksonville secondary that kind of got torched by Miami last week. So
definitely. Well, and although he didn't make the cut for the list here, let's talk a little bit of Jordan Love, because obviously he's a massive component to that Packers team. Will definitely miss some extended period of time. But with Jordan Love's injury, it's come out that he has an MCL sprain. Right. But we were talking, before even that came out during the game, we were texting back and forth, and we were kind of thinking, there was a ton of torque put on his knee. Was it MCL? Was it ACL? We were kind of concerned with something other than the knee on top of that. Right.
Yeah. The high ankle, right? When you talk about the mechanism of getting your foot trapped. And then, in that case, it was Carter, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Or Jordan Davis? I think Carter, yeah. Jalen Carter had his ankle trapped, and he was kind of pushing the ankle inwards, and then the knee was kind of getting forced that way as well. So it's very common those two get injured together. So they've said a 3 to 6 week recovery timeline. Like I do expect him to be limited in mobility for the whole 6 weeks.
Well, but it's kind of been interesting. Like, they didn't put him on the IR. Right. So that makes me think that they're kind of expecting him to come back within the first 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know if that's necessarily, obviously we don't know the extent to the MCL, the high ankle, whatever, but like all of the mechanisms were there for multiple, pretty big injuries to occur. So, although they didn't put him on the IR, he's going to be very, very limited. Coming back in 3 to 4 weeks. If he does so, I would not be surprised if he ends up sitting 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree there. All right, we are going to, let's handle Chandler's question here real quick, and then we'll move on from the injury portion here. Jameer White, oh man, a guy I was super big on coming in. With Madison coming in, getting all the third down out, snapping him, think he's playable going forward or not? So yeah, here's my thing. Again, I don't want to overreact. Now, I watched that whole game because I was very intent on the Raiders game there. LA Chargers rush defense. I don't know where they came from. I know they brought in Poona Ford, but wow, much improved. Now, it was a little disheartening to see Madison kind of getting the work. Jameer White got the first 2 series, and then he kind of almost got mini benched, and then Madison came in. I would not get completely off of him just yet. I do think he's shown the ability to be the workhorse. And Antonio Pierce went back to him. I mean, he did fumble, which was brutal, but he went back to him, and, he started to get some traction in the second half. He started to look a lot better. So and we saw Alexander Madison for an entire season. I don't want to overreact to week 1 and think and throw away all that kind of data and everything we saw. So personally, I still think Zamir White has a really good chance to be the guy in a Raiders offense that's going to be run heavy. But it's definitely a little bit concerning now. So I think you give it another week or so. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't necessarily hang it up on Zamir White quite yet. At the end of the day, Madison had 5 attempts on the ground. He did have 6 attempts or 6 targets through the air, but like I think, like you said, Zamir White has shown that he can be that not every down back, but at least tote the rock 15, 16, 18 times a game. Where Alexander Mattison, when he was asked to do so, couldn't do that. Now, obviously, this is week 1. He's Madison's on a different team. But going back to what you were saying, Pierce will want to run the rock. I would not necessarily be surprised if the carries almost even out to like a Mostert, A-Chain, however he says his name, kind of a role. But I think Zamir White's definitely the first 2 down back, if not, building into that 3rd down.
Yeah, I mean, Madison looked good because he caught that swing pass and for a touchdown, so that obviously boosts his line. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. When I took Zamir White, or when I was high on Zamir White, I don't really see him having much of a passing role anyway.
Right.
They got a lot of mouths to feed over there with Ballard.
I kind of would almost say it's like a Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears role last year in Tennessee. Zamir White's that bulldozer, that back that he's going to be toting the rock when those tough yards are needed, and he's going to get the majority of the carries. Obviously, it's hard to say after week 1, especially when the Chargers ended up taking a lead. But
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too. I think he's a guy that gets better as time goes on. So if it's game script kind of got away from him there with the turnovers. All right. Let's go ahead and move on here. Before we talk about Monday night, let's do a quick ad read here talking about Underdog Fantasy, because that'll help you get paid this Monday night. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times your entry. The NFL is back, and there's a ton of Pick'em specials to get you started. You can now use specials and boost in all your flex entries here. So this was the free pick they gave out last week. They're going to have more free picks. They always do these specials. This is our play from last week, man. Baker, easy cash. Tyreek Hill, cash. Connor, cash. Unfortunately, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels decided he doesn't want to throw to a fucking wide receiver.
No,
he want to run everywhere.
He's just going to run it for 80 yards.
But it's all right. We are 1 leg away, and that is okay, because we're going to be giving you plenty more for Underdog Fantasy. And again, use promo code SGPNDOC, all caps, all one word, and you actually get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. It used to be $250, but you say, well, you know what? We got to do something for our fans. We got to do more. We got to be better. So it's actually $1,000 right now. So if you are not a member of Underdog Fantasy, all you got to do, it's very, very simple. You go sign up, use promo code SGPNDOC, and then if you deposit, you get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So if you put in $1,000, boom, immediately get $1,000 into your account. So use promo code SGPNDOC at underdogfantasy.com. All right, now let's talk about Monday night. Let's talk about Monday night here.
So right now, live odds. Right now, the Jets are underdogs by 3.5 at -115. 49ers are favorites by 1 at 105. Over under still 43. But the money line, Jets are at +150. Niners at -180.
Okay, so still, you said 3.5 still?
Yep.
Okay, so it's kind of hung there. It was at 4 most of today, but I saw a little bit rise to 4.5, but now we're at 3.5. So it only dropped a point, and there was a lot of money, at least on the DraftKings app, coming in on San Francisco before.
Real quick, yep.
I don't know how much they wanted to adjust, but I mean, I think it's crazy that it only dropped a point with their best player being out. It's insane to me, but okay. All right. I want to talk really quickly through these injuries to kind of get a little bit here. Sure. CMC, we talked about him out tonight, right? They've also got safety Hufanga, stud safety. He's out, still dealing with ACL. Dre Greenlaw is out. They're still not having him. They probably won't have him for most of the season his Achilles tear. Right. Arik Armstead he's gone, right? This is a different looking, especially on defense. I know on offense, they are going to look very similar. Trent Williams just came back this week. They're going to expect him to have a full workload, but was he in shape? We're going to find out right away. Brandon Ayuk, they've talked about reduced snaps potentially. It wasn't anything hard set. Now with McCaffrey being out, they might have to throw more. Who knows? Stuff like that. And on the Jets side, Mike Williams is going to be on a snap count. I've been talking about him. A guy I really like coming off the ACL, but not in the first 4 weeks. He's going to be on a snap count. Hey, could he do something? His line's pretty low. I just want to see how he looks before I'm really going to bet him either way. But I think starting, week 3, week 4 is when you really want to start targeting Mike Williams there. And then Rodgers, we saw how Kirk Cousins looked off his Achilles. Awful. If you didn't see, very bad. But Rodgers has about 2.5, almost 3 months more.
I think that Kirk Cousins looked awesome.
As a Steelers fan, it was nice to watch. Steelers was one of my bigger cashes from the early window. The wife is always happy when the Steelers win. So,
that's right.
But yeah. All right. That's just a kind of quick overview. What are your thoughts? Let's get into it. What are you thinking? How did this game play out tonight?
Yeah. So, like I said, I actually got my bets in before the McCaffrey news came out, and I'm glad that I did because I kind of like the Jets tonight. Not necessarily, later. If this game was week 12, week 14, I would probably end up taking the Niners because I'm very high on both of these teams. I think they'll both end up winning the division.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the Jets, outside of Rodgers, are the Jets. They've brought in a couple of guys that should make their team better, especially on that offensive line to help protect Rodgers.
Yep.
But on defense, not a whole lot of changes there, and we know how dominating the Jets defense can be. A lot of changes when it comes to the Niners, and obviously you kind of touched on some of those defensive changes up front, but on offense, McCaffrey hasn't been there most of the preseason, most of training camp. Ayuk obviously was not there. Trent Williams was not there. And if you're not on the field, if you're not practicing, if you're not, building that rapport with your teammates, it can look a little ugly early on before while you're getting back into football shape, if you will. So that's why I ended up taking the Jets, I think, at +4. But from the Niners standpoint, I think this is a Debo game. Again, even before the McCaffrey news, I took Debo's over rushing. I took Purdy's over in completions, and then I took Debo to score, just because I think Debo is one of those guys that just can do so much offensively from the wide receiver standpoint, from getting carries, whether it's jet sweeps or lining up in the backfield. I think the Jets don't have somebody in the middle that pairs up well with Debo. Obviously, they're pretty stacked on the outside with Sauce. And then right in the center of their defense with those stud linebackers in Williams and Mosley, as well as Quinn Williams. I think that's probably the strong point of their defense. Outside, other than Gardner, I think they still have a little bit of question marks. So I think Gardner hopefully will line up on Ayuk most of the night, and that springs Debo for a huge night.
Yeah. No, yeah. So we both are guys who were fairly high on the Jets this season. We both took them to win their division in the offseason preview. And like you mentioned, the biggest thing with the Jets has been health, right? And it's week 1. They're mostly healthy. It's really just Mike Williams who's even playing, but he's going to be the only one that's really limited. Everyone else is a full go. So this is the time that I think the Jets do look good. I am on the Jets, +3.5. I'm on their money line, +150, whatever you got it at, right? I do think that's the play. I think San Francisco, a big thing in their offensive line. Yes, Trent Williams is back, but when you look at that interior offensive line, Aaron Banks, Jake Bandel, and the rookie Dominic Puny, and even Colton McKinnick's on the other side, the Jets, not one of the big things is they don't just have edge rushers. Now, of course, I did forget to mention Hassan Reddick is not going to be playing, which is a crazy Jet thing to do to mess that up, but he's not playing. But
situation.
Jermaine Johnson, Juwan Kinlaw, and Quinnen Williams, especially Kinlaw and Williams in the middle. Quinnen Williams is one of the best interior linemen, especially with Aaron Donald out of the league now. He might be the best interior lineman in the NFL. I mean, look at him. He's on the graphic there. Now, I think you talked about Purdy rushing. I think this is going to lead to some Purdy rushing opportunities. You know, he is a capable runner. I think it's just going to be pressure dependent, right? I love Debo as well. I'm on Debo. And I think Kittle, I think you mentioned him too. I think Kittle over the middle is going to have a decent game with Ayuk getting reduced snaps there. So Debo,
especially I thought about getting on Kittle as well because, I mean, front seven of the Jets, very, very solid.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have Sauce taking 1/3 of the field away. I would say they're defensively, their biggest question mark is safety. Right.
Yeah, with Chuck Clark and Adams. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's where Kittle could definitely unleash some havoc in the center of the field with those guys. I would definitely not be surprised if Kittle ends up finding a seam somewhere and scoring tonight. But yeah, I think this is one of those games where San Francisco, although obviously coming off of a Super Bowl loss, like the loser in the Super Bowl a lot of times starts a little bit slower as well, right? The Jets, like you said, our biggest question mark coming into the season was obviously with Rodgers coming off the Achilles tear, but will they be able to stay healthy along that offensive line?
Yeah,
they're all healthy right now. It's week 1.
Exactly. Yeah. So the way I'm looking to play the Jets tonight, obviously, other than just the spread and the money line, so right now, I'm a big guy in the sack market. I love defensive props. Love them. If you haven't bet them, trust me. Welcome to the dark side, baby. If you love football, it's a great thing to do. So yes, I'm on Jermaine Johnson, and Juwan Kinlaw over quarter of a sack at plus 160 and plus 200 respectively. I just think Quinnen Williams, actually, for as good as he is, he only had 5.5 sacks last year. He's not really always a guy that gets home. I think he's going to create havoc, and I think it's going to lead to other opportunities for some other guys there, right? Mm-hmm. So Trent Williams can't block everybody, so that's kind of the approach there. And then, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, I think those are guys, great plays. Alan Lazard and Tyler Conklin are guys that may sneak in there as well because, again, Mike Williams is going to be on a snap count. So look for some – if you like, you don't want to go chalk with Hall and Garrett Wilson. Lazard's number is very low. He's obviously got the connection with Rodgers. Rodgers loves throwing to his guys. And Tyler Conklin, for a starting tight end, who's actually was pretty decent last year, his numbers are really low across the board. So those are guys I'm looking to target as well. All right. Let's go ahead and move on here as we get to wrapping up because we got to get you out of here before this game here. So what do we got? We did our underdog waiver wire targets. All right. You want to lead us off or you want me to do it?
Yeah, I mean, Baker lit it up yesterday. Obviously, it was against the Commanders, but, I mean, he threw for over 280 yards and 4 touchdowns. So if he's still out there in leagues, bring him in because the Lions also kind of showed that their secondary at this point in the season is still a question mark. They have a couple stud young cornerbacks trying to figure things out. But if Baker's still out there, bring him in. Same thing with J.K. With J.K. Dobbins really kind of expressing that, he is still a dude, even coming off of Achilles tear, ACL tear against the Bengals, who
Ramondre Stevenson just went off. I mean, talking about, we were talking about both Baker and Stafford last week about guys we want to target. Both of them really kind of came through there. J.K. Dobbins is definitely going to be the biggest ad. That's, no shocker there. We're not telling you anything you don't know, especially, but the Bengals defense did just let up a shit ton of yards to the Patriots, who only can really run the ball, right? Yeah. Wan'Dale Robinson for the New York Giants. Oh man, I let Derek put this on there. I'm very anti-Giants right now, but he did have 12 targets. I will say I do like the Commanders, as far as susceptible. They were one of the worst secondaries in the entire league. So target the Commanders. It worked. We did it with Tampa Bay last week. Yep. Hey, if you can do it with a Giant, Wan'Dale is very cheap, and he will get a lot of dink and dunk stuff. Demarcus Robinson, right? So We just talked about Puka Nacua. It's going to be out. He's on IR for at least 4 games. So Tyler Johnson is an option. I like Demarcus Robinson still. I think he's the more proven guy. I think that Tyler Johnson, he kind of had a lot of his yards really off that one big kind of missed tackle go. But he is an option if you do believe in him. I still favor Demarcus Robinson as kind of more of a proven guy. And hey, I know we're going to talk about Isaiah Likely, but Colby Parkinson as well is a guy who is definitely. Just, he's utilized. Stafford utilized his tight end. He threw to him a lot in the flat. So it's another one. But I'll let you take Likely, and then we'll move on there.
Yeah, I mean, Likely ended up being the leading target getter, leading receiver in that opening Thursday night game. And, it'll be interesting to see how the season progresses with Andrews coming off that injury. But, at this point, Likely and Lamar have some sort of a connection. So I would not be surprised if going forward we start seeing those 11 personnel sets with Andrews and Likely in there, and especially against the Raiders. Obviously, the Raiders do play a pretty physical type of defense. So I think, especially going into this week, Isaiah Likely is one of those dudes that he can line up in traditional 11 personnel, but we can also push him outside in the slot and get a lot of production with Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, no, I like it. All right, we are going to pop on over to talk about rhythm. Yes, rhythm. That is right, folks. We're talking models. We're talking football.
Oh, we love models.
We are talking about sports betting models. All right, Derek, get your head out of your ass, okay? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? Well, SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom perspective betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Look, folks, the whole if you've got into sports betting at all, when you first came in, you heard about people talking about their algorithms, their models, this, that, whatever. You're probably, what the hell are you talking about? If you want to, the cool thing about Rhythm is it makes it super easy. If you want to make your own model, if you want to take like, hey, I really think completion percentage is a big thing, or hey, I really think ADOT is a big thing as far as average depth of target, right? Then you can say the stats that you think are important, and you will build your own model, and then you can use it to help you pick winners. And if you're just lazy and you're like, fuck it, I want the computer to tell me, AI and Rhythm got you. They have those for you. So definitely check out Rhythm there. So claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Really no reason not to, guys. 7-day free trial. If you don't like it, which you won't, you will like it, which look, man.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
There you go. Thanks for saving me there.
Yeah, it will not be a waste of your time.
You get a trial for free on us. So definitely take advantage there.
Good try.
All right. Last little segment there as we get into there we go. There we go. All right. Last little segment here as we get into what do we like for our early lines there. So these are things that we've already bet. This is things that, hey, NFL Week 2 as we look forward, based on some of our reactions, based on things we've seen. This is stuff that we love already and that we already have our money on. So why don't you lead us off there, and then I'll wrap this up.
Yeah. So first thing, the Steelers are the Steelers. They love to play very tough defense, and they will grind out a win however it seems fit. So right now the Steelers are 3-point favorites against the Denver Broncos. The Steelers against rookie quarterbacks, I should have looked up some stats here, but their record's impeccable. It's far and away favorable in the Steelers' favor. So I'm going to take the Steelers at -3 in Denver in that second slot on Sunday. I think their defense kind of showed out against a veteran in Kirk Cousins, had him scrambling. I just can't wait.
TJ Watt, man. TJ Watt. That
dude's a stud.
I co-signed that one. Bo Nix looked a little squeamish there. I like how you said they are favorable in their favorable matchup. That's good. All right, what else you got?
Let's talk about the Rams and Cardinals.
Okay.
Seb, who would be favored, Rams, Cardinals?
Well, I want to say the Rams, but
you would think, I would think, but right now the Rams are underdogs by a point. And, obviously, like we were talking about early on in the show, the Rams are pretty well beat up. Obviously, they lose Puka. Their offensive line is decimated already somehow.
yeah.
But the Rams just took the Lions to overtime, which we have the Lions. We have the Lions going very far, potentially into the Super Bowl and possibly even winning the Super Bowl. So I am definitely hammering the Rams as an underdog against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah. No, I mean, Matt Stafford just proved an elite quarterback solves a lot of problems. That's one I almost would wait. Sure. I feel like the injury news is just going to keep dropping, and then people are just going to keep kind of taking themselves into. But you're right. I like it. I mean, the Rams, if as an underdog, I would take that over the Cardinals. Yeah. All right, give your last one out, and then I'll rattle it off and we'll get out of here.
Last one, regardless of what happens tonight in the Jets-Niners game, right now the Niners are 5.5-point favorites against the Vikings. And although the Vikings did look really, really good yesterday, we have to take into consideration who they were playing. And that was the New York Football Giants. And as my co-host is just whimpering because of how his Giants are looking thus far, I think the Vikings blowout win was more because of how bad the Giants are this year. The Niners are still the Niners, whether they have McCaffrey there or not.
Yep.
I think they cover by at least a touchdown. It's listed at 5.5 right now. So give me the Niners at 5.5 early on in the week.
I like it even better if they do lose, like we're projecting tonight. I think they come out. You said, CMC or not. I would like that even better. And I agree. Look, all I'll say on that is thank the good Lord for sports betting.
Give me another week of Ayuk in the building. Give me another week with Trent Williams in the building. That offense will figure it out. And their defense is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, I like it. All right, I'm going to rattle mine off quick, and we're going to get out of here, folks. So what I like and what I've already put my money on, Buffalo plus 102. They're slight underdogs there against Miami, Thursday Night Football game, which we'll talk much more about. Miami's run game is beat the hell up. Their interior offensive line is beat up. Buffalo, I think that they have the ability to slow them down. I think they give them problems. I think they can run all over them. Miami really should have lost that game. Jacksonville kind of blew it. Miami did not look good. And
if ETN doesn't fumble that ball, game over.
I think Buffalo is a better team than Miami right now. I know Taron Johnson's going to be out, but I think the injuries on Miami's side as far as those running backs are more concerning. Tampa Bay, we just saw this game in the playoffs last year. Tampa Bay's kicking it on the Detroit Lions. They are 7-point underdogs. I don't understand it. Tampa Bay's a good team, man. They're a good, solid team. Now, I got to see if I'm going to go money line or not. But Detroit, as much as we said that they're great, that secondary shaky. And, Cooper Kupp and Colby Parkinson, Demarcus Robinson, it was Cooper Kupp and nobody was kind of dicing them up. And now you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan looked good. Trey Palmer. I think that's going to give him problems. I think it's going to be a game. So give me that. And then you talked about the Rams, Cardinals. I like the Rams as well, but I also like the over. I think both those defenses are going to struggling. The Rams actually played pretty well. They can put up some damn points, but Cardinals offense was no slouch. I think that they're going to be
Kyler looked good. I think they'll figure out how to get Maserati Marv into the system somehow. Obviously with all of the potential that he has. So I like that one.
James Conner looked good. I mean, you saw what Montgomery did to the Rams defense on that last drive, man. So, those are the plays that I like as far as early line locks there that we're looking at. All right, folks, that is pretty much it here. I'm going to go rest my Vegas voice and enjoy this Monday night game. We will quickly wrap up here. Do you have anything for the good people before we go?
No, if you all have any questions leading up to our Thursday episode, shoot us a DM on Instagram, TikTok, however you see fit. Please share it out. We are a new show, so we appreciate any support that we're getting. So share it out, like us, follow us, whatever things are on socials, and we appreciate all the support.
Yeah, exactly. As my wonderful co-host said, at the Degen Docs on all those socials, wherever you want to get it. Appreciate the comments. Hey, jump in the chat. Let's get the chat jumping because look, what we're trying to do is create a nice, good Degen family here. It's fun to cash bets, but it's so much better to cash as a group. I mean, look, being out in Circa, being out in Vegas, cashing into Sportsbook, was hanging out with a bunch of Detroit fans last night, got to cash in big. I mean, the vibes are high. There's no better feeling. So that's what we're trying to do here. Baby. So football is back. So look, folks, you know what they say. A lock a day keeps the bookie away, and we've got your prescription. All right, folks, from the Degen Docs, we hope that you have a wonderful week. We hope you are back on Thursday and join us. Cheers, and we are out of here. What's up, Degens? Doc here. As a proud member of the U.S. Army and a lover of football, sometimes those two things cross over on here. But as you probably already know, as a lowly captain, these are just my opinions. These are not opinions that are representative of the entire DoD or the U.S. Army. The same thing goes for any references to any commercial products or hyperlinks. Again, that does not constitute an endorsement from the DoD or the Army. I hope you enjoyed the show, and as always, let it ride.